Woman Expressed, because this world needs women unafraid of their own magic. Welcome to the show, where we explore what it means to be a fully expressed woman, a woman aligned with her desires and dreams, a woman who knows her potential is well within reach. Here, magic happens. Welcome back to another episode of Woman Expressed, episode 2. We are out here in the office. Yesterday I recorded an episode in my period underwear and a scarf. And today I said, maybe I should take a shower. Maybe I should wash my hair. Maybe I should put on some real clothes and look nice to record this podcast. And then I said, what would be the true thing to do? What would be my truest expression? And the answer was, stay in your pajamas, keep your hair in the bun. You'll shower later. Here we are. I have never wanted to be the type of businesswoman, the type of entrepreneur, the type of human that needs to look professional or poised or perfect or put together. No shade to the women who are out here doing the thing, because I have so much respect for the routine of getting ready, doing the hair, doing the makeup. It's effort. It's a lot of effort. And I'm going to respect the hustle. Besides the fact that I think most women are using so many toxic products on their bodies, which are just not really a vibe and not supporting our hormonal systems and many aspects of our bodies physically and energetically. And to me, makeup's never been a thing that made me feel more or less beautiful. Well, that's untrue. Once upon a time, it was something I needed. In this season of my life, I should say that makeup and doing my hair and doing all the things aren't really aspects of my life that tickle my fancy. But there are some really epic non-toxic brands that I've connected with, and I've gotten to try some beautiful things. So do your beautiful makeup routine and do your hair and get your nails done and do whatever it takes to make yourself feel nourished in your body, but also paying attention to the ingredients in what you're putting on your skin, which is your largest organ. I digress. Welcome back to the show. I'm really happy to be here. I feel really good about bringing this podcast back. I'm feeling really inspired to speak. And if you know me at all, you should know. And if you don't know me at all, you now know that talking is, I don't want to say one of my favorite things, although it probably is, but it's definitely one of the things I do most on this planet. Whether it's to my friends, my community, TikTok, Instagram, my partner, my family, I can talk for hours. And if you're a talker, being with someone also who's like, you should talk a lot. I want to hear everything you have to say. Never feel like you're being too much for sending me a million texts in a day. Like green flag, just music to my soul, my heart, and my ears. I love to speak. I love to speak. I feel like I have a lot to say. And I think a lot of us have a lot to say. And maybe we don't yet know how to articulate it, or we don't feel safe to express it, or we don't know if someone's going to think we're dumb or weird or making any sense. But we all have something magical to say, and giving yourself permission to have a platform. And by platform, I don't necessarily mean Instagram or TikTok. I literally mean the platform of your voice, of utilizing your voice to express. It's really, really a beautiful thing to give yourself that permission in that space, because you don't even know what you've got tucked away in that channel of yours. That's deep medicine for humanity. That's deep medicine for a past version of yourself. And you have no idea what impact you could potentially be making on this planet by using that voice, whether it be for talking, whether it be for reciting poetry, whether it be for singing, whether it be for screaming in rage because you need to get it out. It's just really a gift to use your voice. And we live in an era where, sure, it's not necessarily a given amongst humanity that there's free speech, and things are weird, and I'm not going to get into politics because that's not my cup of tea. But ultimately, we have freedom to say what we want to say and articulate what we want to articulate, especially if we're living in first world countries, which is an immense privilege in and of itself. But if you have the freedom to use your voice, you should use your voice, because many people do not have this freedom. You're not going to get a second chance at using this voice when you die. You've been given the greatest, most miraculous gift you could ever have, which is life. You're here and you have a voice. It works, right? If your vocal cords work and sound comes out when you speak, you've been handed one of the greatest gifts you could ever experience in your entire life. And you're not using it for what? Because you're afraid of being perceived. You're afraid of how people will view you. You're afraid of saying the wrong thing, not being smart enough. We all have it. And I feel like sharing my story with my voice feels like a really nice landing place for today. Because not only am I a content creator, so I'm using my voice a lot to create content, to talk to the camera. I also, now I'm re-exploring this podcasting world, so I'm going to be talking in longer form a lot more frequently. And a friend and a daughter and a sister and a partner and a human. So ultimately, I'm speaking a lot. On top of all of that, I'm a musician, a singer. So my voice is one of my favorite things about me. It's my happy place. It's my safe place. It's my expressive place. And that was not always the case. So if you are someone who feels disconnected from their voice, from their expression, maybe this story will support you in some way or offer you new perspective on what it means to be kind to your voice and to use your voice for good. So for as long as I can remember, 6 years old, 7 years old, 8 years old, I've been obsessed with art, expressive art in the forms of music, dance, acting. I wanted to be a triple threat when I was younger. I loved musical theater. I applied to be on the board, a board of children who supported the kids' night on Broadway Endeavor in New York City. Out of thousands of applications, my cute ass little self got accepted to be on this panel with Rosie O'Donnell and other people in the Broadway world. I don't even remember what I was up to. I just remember being obsessed with song and dance and expression. And I wanted to be a Broadway star. I wanted to be a singer. I wanted to be a dancer. I feel like this point comes for all of us. When, how, where, why is different for each and every individual. But you get to the point in your life where someone finally gives it to you. Someone tells you you're not good enough. Someone tells you you're not talented. Somebody offers you their perspective, usually unwarranted, that made your cute little subconscious mind say, I'm never going to do that again. For me, I remember being in musical theater and never getting the solos and being put in the back of the room and applying for AP art, like advanced placement art in middle school, not getting accepted, being told my art wasn't good enough. Trying to get solos in the all district or all county chorus, never happened. Sometime along the way, also people telling me my voice didn't sound good. I think I was very young when I made this switch from trying to sing well to every time I sang, intentionally singing off key and really poorly because I was so scared of being perceived as bad for trying that it was safer to know I'd be perceived as bad because I wasn't trying. And to put myself out there in such a way that, of course, I sounded bad. I was singing off key intentionally. I was singing poorly intentionally because if I knew I sounded bad, someone else telling me I sounded bad wasn't a big deal. But if I tried and I thought I sounded good and someone else told me I sounded bad, that would pull at the heartstrings a little too much for my young self. So let's say like 9-10 years old, I started to sing badly. I started to be pretty unkind to myself. Alongside this, as I got to middle school, high school time, my boundaries became poorer and poorer. I silenced myself a lot. I was a people pleaser. I said yes when I meant no. I was really unkind to my body. I talked a lot of shit about myself. I gossiped about others. It was middle school and high school. We were all in it. This was the energetic piece of the puzzle that ultimately led to my deep, rough, intense journey with my voice. Constantly singing badly, constantly shaming myself, actively expressing words that were really unkind and unsupportive to me, talking poorly about others, saying yes when I knew it was a no, never speaking my truth, lying to avoid confrontation. It was an endless array of ways in which I was going against my voice, going against my expression, going against my authenticity. On the physical side of things, along with singing poorly intentionally, another thing that I was really, really into, and still am, was going to raves, going to festivals, listening to electronic music at very loud settings, and singing along and dancing. And music is and was my entire life. I was going to a lot of electronic shows. I loved house music. I loved being in that scene. I loved the togetherness. You probably know. You've probably been to a rave in your day. Raves are loud, really loud. So even just talking to your friends over the music, you're screaming. If there's music with words, you're screaming. What I started to do was notice that after a rave, my voice would be absolutely gone. It felt like knives were in my throat. I would be unable to speak or like whispering in that weird mangled way for a few days before I was able to recover and get my voice back, if not like a week. I remember that starting around my freshman year of high school. Over the years, it just became more frequent. I was going to more raves. I was also partying more, drinking more alcohol, which is really not good for your voice, your vocal cords. I was singing really recklessly, still singing badly on purpose. I ultimately landed at a place by my sophomore, junior, senior year of high school where every time I went to a show, my voice was gone, completely gone. I couldn't speak for 3 days. It hurt really bad. I was inflamed. I'd get sick. I'd get strep throat. It was just not a vibe. Yeah, that's another piece of the puzzle as well. I was getting strep throat all the time, like at least once a year, if not twice a year. And these are all physical manifestations of the energy behind how we treat our voice and our throats. Fast forward to college, same vibe, more parties, more constant drinking, more constant partying, more constant abandoning self, and really disconnected from the voice, really disconnected from my truth, really disconnected from authentic expression, continuing the people pleasing, continuing the saying yes when I meant no, continuing to sing really loud and badly and shame my voice. I got to the point where forget partying, forget concerts, forget any of that. Just sitting in the comfort of my own home, in a car, around, if I sang one song to completion, even if I was singing badly, quietly, whatever it was, by the end of that song, I had no voice. I would lose my voice after a single song. My throat would feel like there were daggers in it. It would hurt to talk, but I kept talking. It would hurt to sing, but I kept singing. I was probably smoking some cigarettes or my Juul. I was a vapor at the time. Not good. Ultimately, bad news. Through and through, from point A to point Z, I was not doing anything good for my voice. But the physical manifestations were just icing on top of the cake of the energetic. The energetic, the underlying, was I hate how I sound. My voice doesn't deserve to be heard. I'm a bad singer. I don't know how to speak my truth. I don't know how to speak kindly to myself. I had eating disorders at this time, so I was shaming myself, calling my skin ugly, calling myself fat, really disconnected from any sort of self-love with how I spoke, with how I thought, with how I acted. And then I believe it was going into 2017 or 2018. I can't remember. I got surgery on my vocal cords. I found out that I had polyps on my vocal cords, which essentially your vocal cords are like very close together, but there's space in between them so you can breathe, so you can produce sound, etc. When you have polyps on your vocal cords, essentially what those are inflamed lumps that grow around your vocal cords and then rub together, causing that friction and causing your voice to strain, inevitably causing you to lose your voice, causing it to hurt when you sing, when you talk, when you speak. And mine were pretty gnarly. Mine were pretty bad. I ended up at an ENT. I got all the tests done, and he was like, you need surgery on your vocal cords or you're going to keep losing your voice more and more. These are going to get more inflamed. It's going to become harder to speak, harder to swallow in the end. You're going to be more prone to infection. So I said, sign me up. Let's get it. And I got the surgery around December break or right after New Year's. I got the surgery. And the recovery period for the surgery was 9 days of no speaking. I ultimately sat at home. I was actually learning how to play the guitar at this point in my life. And I didn't speak for 9 days. In those 9 days, I had a lot of time to reflect, of course. And I sat with myself and, it must have been going into 2019, going into my senior year, because I had already gone abroad and I had already had my spiritual awakening. So yeah, I was at a point in my life where I was really starting to connect with my spirituality. I was conscious of the fact that I controlled my reality. I had awareness over the knowing that what I say matters and how I talk to myself and how I treat myself matters. And so in these 9 days of silence, I really started to sit with, how am I treating myself? What ways do I want to use my voice? How do I want to speak to myself? How do I want to act towards myself? Because ultimately something's not working here. Up until this point, this is not going so great. So I sat with this reassessment. I sat with, who do I want to be? I sat with, what does it mean to reconnect to my voice after this surgery? I don't want my polyps to come back. I don't want to get this surgery again. And I really made the conscious choice to promise myself I would be kind to my voice no matter what. I would start to treat myself with respect. I would not use my voice for malintent in this world. I would not use my voice for malintent towards myself. I made a vow to myself that I would treat my voice with respect. And that is what I did. And what followed that surgery was one of the greatest, most interesting, and profound transformations of my life. I started to speak to myself very kindly. I started to treat my voice with respect. I started to understand and learn how to use my voice in ways that felt nourishing. I started to sing with the intention of sounding true. I didn't need to sound good, but I was tired of faking sounding bad to protect myself. I started to really connect with what it meant to use my voice in a way that really nurtured and nourished my soul. And as I gained my voice back, it changed. I started to sing, and for the first time in my life, I thought I sounded good. I noticed something there. I started to question what I had been missing. I started to speak kinder to myself. I did not talk badly about other people. I started to set better boundaries. I started to say no when I meant it and yes when I meant it. I started to really tap into the power of using my voice as a tool. The years that followed that experience shifted so much in my life. I became immensely articulate compared to what had previously been my articulation skills. I started to deepen my connection with myself, deepen my connection with my friends, deepen my connection with my spirit, because I had awakened this part of me that was dormant, which was, who am I when I am self-expressed? Who am I when I'm not hiding from my self-expression? Who am I when I'm not dimming my self-expression? And that led to so much magic. And I graduated university. I moved to Brooklyn. I met a group of friends who were really self-expressed, really weird, really silly, really obnoxious in the sense that they didn't care about how they looked at all. They were so themselves, so flamboyantly loud and eccentric. And it ended up being like this next rendition of my awakening of like, you don't have to hide who you are. You can speak your truth. You can be weird. You can use your voice to express in ways that feel silly and playful and magnetic to you, and you don't need to hide because you think I'm going to think you're weird. I want you to be weird. We want you in your fullness. Give it to us. Let's see who you are. And so on top of learning to use my voice and learning to sing again and learning to be kind to myself, I also learned to be really fucking weird, really expressed in my weirdness, in my silliness, in my play, in my clowny, full expression of weird, of cringe, of embarrassing, because it felt good, because it brought deep joy. And this group of friends really, really awoke this part of me that was like, the world needs me really weird. The world needs my authentic self, because who am I serving by living in this cage? Who am I serving by denying my expression to the world? Who am I serving by dulling the weirdness that I was birthed into this world with that makes me one of a kind? I want to be silly. I want to be fun. I want to be weird. I want to make people laugh because I'm unafraid. I want to be improvisational and spur of the moment and present with what's alive and muse the present moment that I have right now. And I can't do that if I'm masked. I can't do that if I'm so afraid of what's going to come out of my mouth that I stifle my expression, that I stifle my words. And it was this season of my life, the 6 months I spent living in Brooklyn, that I really recognized that not only does self-expression mean being true, but it means being weird and letting whatever is present and alive come out without caging, judging, subduing. And after I moved away from Brooklyn and COVID started, I went to Hawaii and ultimately started my business. That's when I went to the Institute of Integrative Nutrition to get my holistic health certification. I got my breathwork certification. And that is when I realized girlie's got to get herself online if she wants to run a business. And that was the next level of using my voice. I remember when I started creating stories on Instagram or creating reels on Instagram. I don't even think I was doing talking reels yet. Even just talking to my camera, I needed a filter. I was so nervous. It would take me like 25 takes. I never made eye contact with the camera. I'd be looking over here or over here because I was so nervous. And when I looked at the camera, my thoughts would dissipate. I'd completely blank. I'd forget what I was going to say. And starting my social media journey was that next rendition of activating my voice and activating my expression and realizing that I can articulate really well if I give myself space to mess up, be weird, fail, not get it right the first time, know that I can do it over and over again. And wow, social media and talking to the camera has been one of the biggest advancements and tools I've given myself to be able to articulate, to speak at a higher level. I used to sit in a room, my ex and his friends shared a house in Hawaii, and they're a brilliant group of human beings. And I would sit in the room with them and listen to them speak and not say a single word because I was so afraid of sounding dumb. My positioning in that space, my mindset was, these are brilliant, smart, intelligent humans, and I'm dumb and I don't know how to keep up. I'm just going to absorb what they have to say, but I have nothing to offer back to the space. Now, I gained a lot from listening in that period of my life, but I had such shame around not being able to contribute to the conversation or worrying about if I contributed to the conversation, would I sound dumb? Would they think I was stupid? Would I actually have any value to bring to the table? And I'm at a point in my life now where I'm like, I have so much value to bring to the table. I can keep up in any conversation. Of course, I'm not a neuroscientist. I'm not a finance major, an investment banker. There are many, many aspects of humanity that I know nothing about. And so I'm not going to pretend like I know everything. And I think that's also what's liberated me so much is I don't need to be a know-it-all. I don't need to feel defensive or confused or frustrated when I can't contribute because I know where my strengths lie. I know what I'm good at. I know what I'm not as good at. And I can allow myself to take on different roles in different spaces. But at the end of the day, I really trust my voice. I really trust my articulation. I really trust my ability to say what I want to say in a way that's palatable, in a way that's tangible, in a way that is digestible. And it's a skill. It's something we learn. I wasn't born with this skill. I was super awkward and nervous and weird and uncomfortable and afraid to be myself. And like your biceps growing by going to the gym every day, you can expand your ability to use your voice and to self-express for educational purposes, for inspirational purposes, for humor, for song, for mantra, for music. It all comes back to you feeling safe to express yourself, you feeling comfortable knowing you have a place in this world to take up with your voice. And on top of all of that, it was a whole other journey to return back to my singing voice. And funnily enough, recommendations and advice you don't always get is giving yourself permission to experience external validation. I actually needed people to be like, you don't sound bad. You sound good, Emma. Like, keep going, to support me along the way. And that's not to say that that's where you should look first. Like, ultimately, singing, using your voice is about feeling. You do not have anyone else on planet Earth with your voice. There will never be another voice that is yours. One of one. That is the greatest gift your voice can ever give you and humanity. And it's about resonance, which means, does it feel in alignment to use it? Does it feel nourishing? Does it feel supportive? These things matter so much more than how it sounds. And if you want to sound good to your own ears, forget anyone else. If you want to sound good, looking for that support outside of you was actually a really big support for me. I needed to be reminded, like, hey, the part of you that thinks you sound like shit isn't the truth. This is your wounding. This is your fear. This is your patterning around convincing yourself to stay small, stifling your expression. You sound beautiful. When you're true and authentic and from your heart, there is beauty to your voice. Keep using it. The more you use it, the more you discover it, the more resonant you become, the better you sound. Sounding good is literally about feeling good. And again, sounding good is not the point, but I enjoy sounding good. Like, it means something to me to feel the resonance in my voice. And I've experienced significant up levels in my singing voice by connecting more deeply to the energy behind my expression. It's all interconnected. It's so cool to witness the interconnections. Even recordings I did 6 months ago, I'm like, I'm not putting those out. I don't sound like that now. I've deepened into this level of resonance and frequency in my voice that I'm obsessed with. I love it. It's true. It's raw. It's me. And there's moments where I'm hard on myself. There's moments where my inner critic and perfectionist come out to play. But ultimately, I've found a relationship with my voice that is so deeply unconditionally loving. I feel so connected to my voice. I understand the potency I have to offer with these vocal cords, with this throat chakra, with my expression. I understand the level of impact I'm having on humanity from using my voice, and it's why I'm so passionate about teaching this work to women. We need women to express themselves completely and entirely, to be permission slips for other women to express themselves completely and entirely. We need women deeply connected to their vulnerability, their rawness, their cringe, without fear of judgment, without fear of embarrassment or being shamed or being perceived, because this is how we heal humanity. With fully expressed, embodied, liberated women speaking their truth from the heart, from the womb, from the center, from the channel. Humanity needs this. Women need this. We permit humanity by permitting ourselves. And it's a major disservice to everyone, but mostly to yourself, by denying the magic that is your one-of-one voice. Your one-of-one voice. Nobody else has it. Nobody else will ever have it. And if you're afraid, exposure therapy. Do it anyway, step by step. You don't need to start your podcast today. You don't need to public speak today. You don't even need to post the video today. Maybe you just talk to your voice memos. Maybe you talk to the mirror. Maybe you practice with your best friend. It's a skill. You flex the muscle. You get better at it. I promise you, the world wants to hear your voice. Not everyone. Again, we don't have enough space energetically to be heard and received well by everyone. It's not the goal. The goal is to be so yourself that you magnetize exactly who your people are and repel anyone else. That's exactly how I'm trying to live. If I resonate, welcome. If I don't, beautiful. There's other people who will. I don't need to please everyone. I need to please myself, and my people will appear when I'm true to that. It's why I'm so passionate about teaching women how to use social media. It's why I'm so passionate about self-expression as a tool for freedom, as the greatest strategy there is for a life you've always dreamed of, for reaching your potential. It's why I'm so passionate about vocal liberation and somatics, because feeling safe in your body will ultimately lead to feeling safe to express. It's why I'm creating spaces for women to step into their power together. So if you are a woman who's on this journey of reclaiming her voice, of stepping into her power, of becoming a creator over a consumer, my free community, the Embodied Creators Circle, is a beautiful hub you can land on. It's a community for women who want to build something magical, who want to build their dream lives on their own terms, using self-expression, using your voice, using your authenticity on social media, on the internet, to build your tribe, to build the community that you've always dreamed of, to call in dream clients and collaborations and opportunities, to become time and location free. Most importantly, to be entirely who you are and to find the people who are going to love you for being entirely who you are. You can find a link to this group in the show notes or on my Instagram at Emma Marshall. You can be sure to find many more tips and tools and tricks in that space. I will be providing a lot of free value there, as well as future opportunities to join my network, to join my team, to join different courses and programs and offerings, retreats. It's all in there. We have a beautiful hub of women emerging, and I'd love to have you be a part of it. I'll talk to you next week. Thank you for tuning in.